Hello, and welcome to another Win Daily Sports Show. My name is Michael Brazil. I got my man Sia and Michael here with me. I got my man Iggy Rodriguez here with me. Iggy, we'll start with you. You're the guest. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm feeling great. We mentioned it just a bit ago. Dodgers are up 800 runs right now. They're giving me just enough hope to break my heart in spectacular fashion the way that they do every fucking year, man.
Every
But
year
I'll
they're
take
gonna
it.
get you again.
But today, right now, we're good.
We're good to go. Yeah, today, be happy. It's not gonna last very long, as Dodgers fans, especially recently, know. Doesn't look like you'll get the Astros if you do move on. So I guess that part is kind of nice. And you're in LA. You're a Lakers guy too. Lakers just won. I heard that's kind of nice.
It was weird. It just doesn't feel the same. It doesn't. There wasn't like they only looted for like a night. It's so light in LA. I feel so robbed of my looting. I don't know. It feels weird. It really does.
Yeah, man. I mean, if that's the best of it, or if that's the worst of it, I guess things could be different. But yeah, LeBron won his fourth one. The Lakers got another one, obviously, in the year of Kobe, which is nice. And Sia, you have some Magic Johnson stuff behind you. Are you happy that the Lakers won?
I'm happy for LeBron. I mean, I'm happy for some of these guys that are just sort of behind the scenes a little bit, like Rajon Rondo, getting another title this late in his career. I mean, I'm happy that the Lakers are kind of back, and with the Kobe tragedy, they could actually kind of do something to memorialize that in a positive way a little bit. So yeah, but I got to be honest, as happy I am about that, like I'm a little upset because Michael, I'm supposed to be the handsome one on the live stream, and you just bring this guy on, and all of a sudden,
and then Michael looks great in his flannel.
Yeah, I got my sweet flannel on too. It actually, adorable story about this flannel. I have a matching one with my wife. Mine says Mr. on the back. Hers says Mrs. How freaking cute is that?
That's amazing.
How cute is that? Come on, guys, that's adorable. Who doesn't love that?
It is adorable.
Thank you.
Maybe I'm gonna start liking you more. I want to reach to the screen and give you a kiss on your forehead.
Iggy, it's gonna be you and me the rest of the way. I think we're gonna have to kick Michael out of this show.
Well,
that's okay.
Thankfully, I am the captain of
the
this
moderator.
Show. So not much to do about that, Sia. But no, we are here to talk the NFL betting lines of Week 6. Just a couple things of note. We have a couple games that got moved around. We don't have a Thursday night game, which is pretty weird. So I'm sure the players are pretty happy about that. So, good for them. They kind of got out of one of those games, but it should be fun. We got Iggy here. And Sia, just one last thing. I mean, understanding that you are now the second most handsome man on the show. I mean, Iggy was on The Bachelorette, and I think that just started like last night or something. I don't know. Somebody told me about that. So, Iggy, do you have any like insider information out of curiosity for us?
Oh, I've got a lot of insider about this season, or just in general.
I guess in general, but let's hold on to that.
Okay,
maybe I don't want to know. Maybe I want to keep the mystery, keep the magic.
That's a nice teaser though, Iggy. Like as we go through the show, maybe you could towards the end of the show, drop a couple cool facts on us that nobody would ever know, because this show is incredibly popular. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. I feel like I missed the really big popularity wave, the social craze by a season or two. No, truly, the most recent seasons, those guys and girls, they whether you're irrelevant or not, they absolutely blow up. And I missed it by a little bit, but it's okay. I'm here now.
You're here now. Exactly. You're here with us now. And actually, we have a comment already. Is Iggy a part of Win Daily? Just watched his season of Paradise. So, Quinn, tell us how much fun.
You had to deal with that person.
How much fun was Iggy on Bachelor in Paradise or Bachelor in Paradise, whatever the hell that shit is? I don't know, but whatever. Great. That's enough. That's almost too much Bachelor and Bachelorette talk for me. Not quite. I do want a couple of those nuggets, but as I said, we're going to be rolling through the games today. We're going to be talking a little bit about these betting lines, where we want to put some of our money. Last week, Sia by himself went 9-4. I kind of just tailed along with him, so I got to make some money along the way. So hopefully we can do that again. We're going to have Iggy here breaking down some of the games with us, so it should be a good time. So let's start. Let's start with the Washington Football Club. It's the second game on my list, but I want to start it now. Sia, you texted me earlier today or yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. You said Washington +3. It's a steal. Put your money on it. Game open at -3.5 to the Giants. It's now down to 2.5. We have more bets on the Washington Football Club, and we have a lot more money on the Washington Football Club. Sia, why is +3 a steal, and are you still going to take it at +2.5?
Well, first of all, I already took it at +3, and I literally texted every single person I knew. Mm-hmm. And this is just a line that I absolutely love. And a little bit of it is recency bias. We saw what Alex Smith did in that game, but Alex Smith isn't playing. Alex Smith was horrible. Kyle Allen's better when Kyle Allen was in the game for, part of the first quarter, he was at least competent. And so you take a competent quarterback against Daniel Jones, and then you've got a better defensive front with Washington, as it compares to the Giants. And the skill position players may be a touch better with New York, but I mean, it's certainly not a chasm there. So I can't believe Washington's getting 3 points. This should be a pick'em game, and it's not. So give me Washington. Give me the points for sure.
I think it's quickly trending to a pick'em games. Iggy, I know out in California, you guys don't have legalized sports betting yet, so I do not expect you to put any money on this game whatsoever. But in case you move to a state or just happen to be located, or your phone might think you're located, whatever, in a specific state, where would you potentially put your money now that the game again is at 2.5 points to the Giants?
I actually agree with that, man. I think they're both pretty horrendous. So I think when two really bad teams play, I feel like they play down to each other's level, and it becomes a little more of a pick'em game. So I like the 2.5 points. I take that all day. I agree with them.
Yeah, I think the thing is the Giants have won 4 games in their division the last 3 years, and they're all against the formerly known as the Redskins, the Washington football team. So if there's one game the Giants can win, this is literally it. This is literally the only game the Giants have a chance to win. So I'm not going to put my money on the Giants. I wish I got it at 3.5. Sia, I did not put money on this game out of respect, I think, for myself. So I didn't take it at 3. It's, as you said, already now at 2.5. So that one is out the window. Now, so that's a NFC East matchup. Let's move on to the AFC South, another barn burner. We got the Texans going to the Titans. This game opened at -5.5 to the Titans. The game's now come down to -3.5, and that's with 70% of the bets on the Titans and 80% of the money on the Titans. So something scares me about that line movement. We just watched the Titans kick the shit out of the Bills last night, Tuesday Night Football. Iggy, if you're going to take some money and maybe put it on this game, where are you going to take -3.5 to the Titans?
Are you kidding me? They're going to win by, I don't know. If they don't win by,
say 40.
Just yeah, I was going to say 14. If they don't win by a couple of touchdowns, I'm shocked. They absolutely ran all over the Bills yesterday, who were 4-0 and actually looked like really competitive for the first 4 weeks. Like, they took a shit on those guys. It was really bad. I can't imagine that they don't win that game by at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I don't understand the line movement.
Is someone hurt? Is there something I don't know? Like, what's?
I don't know. I think COVID made the Titans stronger. I think that's what we kind of figured out. Maybe, that's something that something might work. Sia, talk to me a little bit. Why do you think this line moved 2 points in the wrong direction? That's just that's something to pay attention to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 5.5 is a little strong, so maybe it was just a natural adjustment off of a line that was just misplaced from the outset. But yeah, I agree. I don't understand. Like, this is one of those where you do have to track the line movement, though, as the week goes. Like, don't put your money on this game right now, in my opinion. See if the money is still on Houston, but the line's still 3.5, because that type of movement tells me I have to take Houston. So I'm not going to do it, because I agree with Iggy that Tennessee, I mean, especially, with AJ Brown healthy, and Derrick Henry really hasn't really been unleashed yet. And Deshaun's going to be able to pass against that secondary for sure. But at the end of the day, you got Derrick Henry and AJ Brown who are just going to mow through that defense. So I agree with Iggy, but it's a no play for me right now. But because we're kind of like keeping track of records, I got to be honest, because of where the money is, I have to go with the Texans. It's like, I hate to do it, but from what you just told me, for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and take the Texans and keep my fingers crossed.
It is.
Yeah, Titans are a better football team. I roll with them.
Agree.
Yeah. Very clearly a better football team. Again, that's why the line movement is very confusing. And that's the kind of stuff that's why we like to pay attention to it, but it kind of scares the hell out of me sometimes. Moving on, we have the Atlanta Falcons, the Dan Quinn-less and Thomas Dimitroff, maybe that was their GM. I don't know. He was terrible too. Both of them have gotten fired. They're traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. The line opened at -3.5 to the Vikings. It is now -4.5 to the Vikings. Almost all the money is on the Vikings. Almost all the bets are on the Vikings as well. Sia, do you think Matt Ryan can pass on the secondary that pretty much barely exists?
I mean, I guess anybody can pass on this secondary, but Matt Ryan, you do have to raise the question. I mean, what I know that Matt Ryan is going to do is he's going to lock in on a receiver the whole game, and he's not going to go through his progressions because apparently he's being he's afraid to get hit or something because he looks like a shell of himself. And what he was before, like, wasn't amazing anyway. So I got to take the Vikings here. Even if this kicks up to like 4.5, 5, I love what the Vikings did against Seattle. They're definitely going to be playing for their season in a sense, even though a lot of people think their season is over. There is an extra wild card spot this year. And, the Vikings haven't looked bad in half their games. They've looked really bad in the other half. So I think the Falcons have just kind of, I don't see them getting a bump because of a coaching change, like we saw a team get potentially last week. So give me the Vikings.
The Texans got that little bump. Granted, they were playing the Jags. So I don't know. I don't know if this is really a great spot for the Falcons. Iggy, what are you thinking for this game? Who do you think comes out the winner?
This one scares me a bit. I think, to Sia's point, like, the Vikings could just absolutely lay an egg. And if they're playing well, they look competitive. If they're not playing well, they look really, really bad. And are they traveling?
It's in Minnesota, so Atlanta is.
In Minnesota, yeah. I think just because the team it's a better football team, I have to take the Minnesota Vikings. But I would not be surprised if, I take a look at that game and Atlanta's up by, well, it doesn't really matter what they're up by at the half. I would not be super shocked. I would not be super shocked if Atlanta squeaks this out by a field goal. I really wouldn't. I think, especially after that loss last week, like against Seattle, like, what a fucking heartbreaker. Like, they're down a couple guys defensively. Both quarterbacks just are not very good, in my opinion. So this one's a toss-up. I will go with the Vikings because they're a better football team, but I would not be surprised. I'm not putting a lot of money on this particular game.
Well, if you could put money on it, you wouldn't put a lot of money on it.
That's correct. That's correct. If I could, that's correct.
If you could, you wouldn't put a lot on it. Sia, what do you got?
Correct.
No, I just want to note, like, Julio didn't play last week. He's probably trending on playing this week, so that factors in, obviously. And then, of course, Dalvin Cook's most likely not playing, and Alexander Mattison is a fine replacement, at least for a game or two. So not much of a downgrade there. But to Iggy's point, if Julio's back, you have your whole host of weapons, other than maybe Hayden Hurst, who might be banged up a little bit. But it's a nice complement of receivers, but I'll still take Minnesota.
Yeah, it's a very weird game. I'm kind of curious how it turns out. I feel like with as bad as Iggy said, it doesn't matter how much the Falcons are up by. It's like, do they blow the entire lead, or do they just blow enough of it to cover the score? So it's just it's one of those things that's very worrisome, and definitely pay attention. And yes, thank you, Sia. Dalvin Cook should be out this game because I think the Vikings have a bye next week, so they'll give him a couple weeks off. But yes, I think it's pretty important. So let's move on to the next game. We have the Chicago Bears traveling to Charlotte to play the North Carolina Panthers. The Panthers opened at -3. It has now come down to -1.5. I think the Panthers are a team that sharps are interested in, and the Bears, we saw what they did on Thursday Night Football against Tom Brady and the Bucs, but the Panthers have looked way better. They're now the favorite, which maybe is a reason why 50% of the bets are on the Panthers, but over 80% of the money is on the Bears. Sia, I think I started with Iggy last time. Sia, talk to me. I know you liked the Panthers last week, and you liked Chicago last week, so you got both of those bets right. Who you liking this week? -1.5 to the Panthers.
I think the disrespect for the Bears is kind of funny. I mean, I can't believe this line opened at -3, and I'm glad it went down to -1.5. I mean, I'll keep this one kind of short and sweet. I looked at the Panthers' schedule so far this year because I was assuming with their record that, like, they might have had a couple layups in there. They've really played a pretty tough schedule, just as tough, if not tougher, than Chicago. I like what they're doing on offense. Chicago's secondary is really good. Their defense is really good. So they're not going to be clicking on offense like they have been necessarily, but the defense has been better than I thought, and therefore I'm just going to go with Carolina and ride the hot hand.
I like that. Iggy, I actually have a question before we move to this game. You have your seatbelt on, but it doesn't seem like your car has moved at all this entire time.
No, that would be horribly irresponsible if I was doing this live webcast thing and driving my vehicle. Okay. I just like to be extra safe, okay?
Hey, I appreciate that. I'm all for it.
The LA streets are wild, okay? You never know what you're going to run into.
I could only imagine. Iggy, talk to me about this game. We saw what the Bears did on Thursday. We saw the Panthers win their last 3 games without Christian McCaffrey. How you leaning on this game?
It's funny, Sia mentioned, like, the disrespect. I spent 5 years in Chicago, and I feel like everyone's just kind of like waiting for the shoe to drop. Like, they're not very good, but they're playing well. And it's usually the other way around, where it's like they've got some talent around, but they don't play very well. I don't trust. I don't know if I trust the Bears in aggregate in the long term. I'm with Sia. I think the I would ride the hot hand and go with the Panthers. I have a general distrust for the Chicago Bears.
You're each riding different hot hands, if I'm not mistaken. I like that. We got the left hand, we got the right hand. Whose hand is hotter? I don't know. We're gonna find out. You guys are going head to head on some of these, which actually I really appreciate. That's kind of nice. This makes it a little more interesting. So I will be the tiebreaker, and Iggy's more handsome, Sia. Plus he's been on TV more times, so I'm gonna have to
wait. Didn't he? Wait, Iggy, didn't you like Carolina?
I did say the Panthers, by the way.
Yeah, so I said the Panthers too.
Oh,
so,
I thought you said the Bears.
No, Carolina. I like nice trying to pit the two handsome people against each other, but it's not going to work.
Are you distracted by the jawline?
I mean, clearly I was not paying attention to anything Sia said. I think I was thinking about your seatbelt, and like I have to ask this question and kind of just let Sia go on. And once he stopped talking, I pretty much just was like, oh, okay, cool, Iggy, let me ask you this question. So,
Michael, Iggy and I are in a fraternity, and you cannot break us, at least not yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best.
We're gonna get matching flannels next.
Oh,
that sounds fantastic.
Him and hers, just like me. So cute. I'll send you guys. I'll send it to you guys. How about that?
I can't wait.
So never mind. We're all going with the Panthers -1.5. Actually, you know what? I'll take the Bears just so now that I can go against you guys. If we're all gonna be fighting today, I'll take the Bears and we'll see what happens there. Moving on, we have the Detroit Lions traveling to Jacksonville. The Lions opened at -2.5. It's now up to -3.5. The poor Jags are actually getting more of the money at +3. That's kind of interesting. Iggy, Lions, Jaguars, which cat do you think is going to come out on top?
Again, it just the level of like care I have for this game is minimal. Who cares? I think the Lions they've shown flashes of being okay. I think they've got some talent. I think that they've had so many years where, very much like the Bears, where like they just underperformed so significantly, and everyone expected them to be not very good, and they're still not. But I think they're playing better than like their aggregate roster would indicate. What's the line again?
3.5 to the Lions.
If I were to be able to make a bet,
love it.
I go with Detroit in this game.
Very nice. Very nice. Sia, are you going to be on Minshew Mania this week?
No, again, I'm not going to be. This whole season, I remember what I said, like in week 2. I'm like, people think the Jaguars are good. They're not. I'm betting against them the rest of the way.
They're not good.
Yeah, they're not
and
good.
So I'm doing it again. I mean, I'll take, I don't have a lot of faith in Detroit. But the reality is, I think the bye week is really going to help them because I think they're going to get Galladay a little bit more integrated in the offense, Hawkinson a little bit more. I think you might even see a switch with DeAndre Swift getting a lot more touches versus an Adrian Peterson. So I'm not saying he'll out-touch AP. I just think he'll be fully integrated in that offense. And I just think the Jaguars, especially if DJ Shark doesn't play, I just don't think they have a lot of places to go. James Robinson wasn't very impressive last week, and he should have been. So with all that in mind, and they have defensive injuries, which probably will last through Sunday. We'll have to check on that Sunday morning with the inactives. But with all of that in mind, I think Detroit wins this one by a touchdown.
Yeah, I think they had Josh Allen, the defensive end, was out. CJ Henderson, their first round pick out of Florida, was out, and somebody else was out too. One of their
Miles Jack.
Yeah,
Miles Jack.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
huge.
So all of 3 of their most important defensive pieces were all out last week. So it's not too surprising that they lost this game. If they're all out again, including DJ Chark, as you said, kind of hard not to jump on this line. I mean, some people did. It was 2.5. It's moved up to it's gone down to 3.5 now to the Lions. So I think that part's pretty important too. Let's move on. We have the Cleveland Browns going to the Steel City to take on Ben Roethlisberger. Always hurt Ben Roethlisberger. This line opened at -5.5 to the Steelers. It's now down to -3 to the Steelers. Iggy, talk to me. Do you think OBJ and Baker and Kareem Hunt take this one out, or at least cover that 3-point spread?
There's zero chance.
Yeah, I don't think so.
The Steelers are a very good team. We mentioned this on our other conversation. They play fast. The defense is very physical. The offense, Roethlisberger led. How old is he? 80?
100.
Dude, he still looks. I mean, dude, he throws the ball really well. He's a good fucking quarterback, man. He obviously has some talent around him. Like, that's a very good, scary, like, getting into November, December football team. They're very good. The Browns are the opposite. They're not very good. I think
better this year.
They're
better.
Okay, sure.
But how hard is it to be better? Yeah, how hard is it to be better?
Yeah, that's right. So marginally better is not enough to cover that against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. No way.
I love it. Sia? Browns?
So I don't have a ton of faith in this one, which means I'm not betting on it. But I do like the Browns because you're getting a key number and plus 3 points. I mean, I don't necessarily expect the Browns to win the game, but the Steelers defense looked pretty porous last week. And so I expect with the running game, I'll say this about Baker Mayfield. My biggest bet, or the bet that I advocated the most, was the Browns against Phillip Rivers-led Colts. But that was more a play against Phillip Rivers than it was a play on the Browns. Here you actually have like a real team in the Steelers with a real quarterback. So I see where you guys are going with it, Iggy, you in particular. But at the same time, the defense was so bad, and I just feel like with Kareem Hunt and those receivers, they're going to be able to exploit it. And I think it's going to be a really close game. This looks like a backdoor cover situation to me, if anything. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the key number. I'll take the +3.
I don't know this number offhand, but what's the Steelers' record in division the last like 3 or 4 years?
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be like, what, 800, right?
After taking out last year especially, it's
right.
Very, very high.
Yeah, I think, if I could, I would. I'd go Steelers heavy on this one.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we're going to keep prefacing that and make sure, because California, you can't bet legally yet. You can't bet in California. There we go.
At all.
Right. What I would say about this game is that heavy narrative game. As we know, I think this year, Ben Roethlisberger finally isn't, how do I want to word this? He is now the second most winningest quarterback in NRG Stadium, which is, I think that's the Browns Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. First Energy, whatever, one of those energy stadiums. He used to have the most wins for active quarterbacks in the Browns home stadium. That's how much the Steelers would dominate the Browns. So I know it's not in Cleveland, but it's one of those stats that it's just like, this is a hurdle for the Browns. If they can actually win, I think they can go do things. If they can't, I think it's pretty sad. So poor Browns. I do think they cover. I hope they cover. I guess that's.
Do you really? At 3?
I hope they cover. I hope. I don't know. Push it. Just give me the push, man. I don't care. Give me my money back.
I guess. Okay. All right.
That's all I'm looking for.
I'm happy to disagree with both of you on this.
Yeah. Now I think Sia is the most handsome man on the show. Look at that. See how the tables have turned.
That is so sweet. Thank you so much. Wow.
See how the tables have turned. Sia, you're gonna like this one. We have the Bengals traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Colts opened at -9.5. It's now down to -8. Bengals looked like dog crap last week. The Colts also looked like dog crap last week. So I think that's important. A couple more bets. About 60% of the bets are on the Bengals. 85% of the money. I'm assuming most of that hopefully got in at 9.5. Sia, I'm assuming you're going with the Bengals this week.
Yeah, this one really scares me because I don't think Phillip Rivers necessarily has to do a lot in this one. I think this is like a slow grind to a cover over 4 quarters. I hate what they're doing with the offensive line in Cincinnati. Like they're barely doing anything to protect Joe Burrow. And the front 4, the front 7 for the Colts, their back end isn't great, but if they can get to him, it's just going to be a disaster show for Joe Burrow. So I think I might go ahead and take the Colts. I hate to do it. I really kind of hope Phillip Rivers gets benched and like has a bad first quarter and they just bring in Jacoby Brissett because he's absolutely the better quarterback. I'm telling you, he will get all of those receivers involved, particularly T.Y. Hilton. I just hate Phillip Rivers. It's hard to watch. It's like a bad accident scene.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
With that said, give me Jonathan Taylor and company. I think they end up covering this barely.
Oof, that's difficult.
What's the line again?
-8.
-8 to the Colts.
That's a lot of points, dude.
Do the Colts even score 8 points? I mean, they do, but like that's kind of where we're at with this offense. But they scored 19 points against the Jets, or like their offense scored, I think, 2 touchdowns against the Jets. They scored 19 against the Bears. Like this offense isn't very good.
Yeah, but the Bengals are really bad too.
It's true. Yeah, they scored 3 points last week. So look at that.
Yeah, the Bengals are really bad too. They're going to throw a lot. If Phillip Rivers is really bad right now, but I think that they throw enough to be able to score enough points to win the game. Even to beat the spread here. I think that 8 points too big for me. Like the teams are too bad. It's not like I can't have like an intelligent conversation with like the Steelers and the Browns, right? Like we have a body of work. Both these teams are just bad. I think they're both bad enough for them to cover that 8 points. It's too big of a gap.
I like the way you look at
it. The talent. The talent isn't 8 points big.
I like that.
That's
it's
fair.
Just not. It's
8 points big. Yep. around, I
the
bet,
8
right?
points big.
8 points
Yeah,
big
exactly.
around.
Points big. Yeah. 8
So
points
no,
big.
I think that's that's a pretty good way of looking at it. I mean, I think the Bengals will throw the ball a lot. I mean, we've seen them cover spreads just through that back door. I think it was against the Browns. I do think the Colts defense is pretty good, but if they are going to miss Darius Leonard again, I think that's going to be huge. And yeah, I think this is going to be kind of a slow burn them out kind of game from the Colts. Hopefully they feed Jonathan Taylor. Nick, if you're listening, free Jonathan Taylor. But I wouldn't be surprised if they keep holding him back for whatever freaking reason. We just don't understand it. All right, let's move on. I'm sorry.
Just
yeah.
To be clear, though, Jonathan Taylor hasn't really looked good. His vision is pretty terrible. Like when you're running with Wisconsin, you literally have holes that are like 10 feet wide, but he's not finding. He's literally not finding the holes, and like he's not busting it outside when he should be. It's not looking great right now for him. I just don't think he's comfortable. So I don't think it's as much the Colts kind of holding him back as Jonathan Taylor just needs to get a little bit more comfortable.
He doesn't look as good in like Colts white. I think he looked really good in like that Wisconsin white. That like it's like a little bit cleaner. Colts white's like kind of like an off, like a little dirtier. I don't know. He just doesn't look as good in it.
It is like almost like a cream.
Yeah, right. It's like kind of like
it's weird.
Know. He looks better.
It's like you want. You feel like it's like like a smudge.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. You gotta kind of wipe it off a little bit. Yeah, I get that. I feel you. Yeah, I appreciate you.
This is where the analysis is taking us.
Hey, come on, man. That's
uniform colors, man.
I mean, what is it? Half the time, the people that win the March Madness tournaments are like the 8-year-olds that pick mascots anyway. I mean, what the hell?
Wait, what's Deion Sanders famous? Like the famous quote from Deion Sanders: "You look good, you feel good, you play good." Right?
Yep, 100%.
You can't like play good in gross off-white Colts colors.
You know, I think
that
Deion
is analysis.
That's true. But I think Deion might have stolen that from Sidney Dean from White Men Can't Jump, otherwise known as Wesley Snipes. Just go back and watch the movie. Michael, you're only 15 years old, so you don't even know what White Men Can't Jump is, but go back and watch the movie.
You meant Blade, that guy that evaded taxes, right? Blade.
Yes.
We all know. Come on, everybody. Blade 3, Ryan Reynolds, that movie. Triple H.
What a great film. What a great film.
Great movie. All right, let's move on. I think that's enough off-white color talk. Iggy, we're going to start with you on this one. We have the Ravens traveling to Philadelphia. -7, the line opened. It moved up a little bit, -7.5. Got about 70% of the bets, about 70% of the money are on the Ravens. Now here, I do need to preface it. We've had RG3 on this show before, so you are probably, I guess you're technically the second coolest person we've had on the show. Sorry, Nick, and all of our other awesome guests. But we had RG3 on. He was fantastic, an absolute blast. Sia has been advocating for RG3. He thinks the RG3 is the best quarterback in that backfield. I don't know. I'm just going to throw that out there. So, Iggy, how do you...
That's not a real comment.
It totally is.
No, it's not.
Wait.
Talking about?
He actually couched it a little incorrectly, though. So I think he has the best arm on the team as far as like quarterbacking, like an arm. As far as all-around quarterback, I'll give it to Lamar, but I think Robert Griffin III has the better arm.
He had the better arm in 2015.
That's also true.
He doesn't have the better arm now. There's no way, dude. There's no way. Lamar has a better. We're talking purely like accuracy. Like who's a better passer?
Yes.
Who's a better passer? I think that if you line him up and it's like, I think it's 9 out of 10 versus 8 out of 10. Maybe you give it to RG3. Maybe.
Oh,
but better quarterback, like body of like what he does for the offense. It's irreplaceable.
I agree with you there. See, that's the thing. It's two different things. So if you're just looking for a guy to throw the ball and chuck it around, I think RG3 has the better arm. But if you're looking for the better quarterback for the system, for the team, of course it's Lamar Jackson right now.
Right. I mean, I'm pretty sure like Brett Favre has a better arm than Lamar Jackson right now. I'm pretty sure that guy can still spin it. We're not going to fucking put him in the backfield.
Fair.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I kind of instigated on that one a little bit. So
I know you did.
Fun.
My Ravens fandom, it's tough.
I love it. And that's why we come here. So do you think I hate Philadelphia? Sia hates Philadelphia. The absolute worst place on planet Earth. -7.5 to the Ravens traveling on the road. Lamar's going to have to watch out for batteries and snowballs and, probably glass bottles.
I don't think it's snowing yet, dude.
I mean, it's the whole Santa Claus thing. We all know it. 7.5 to the Ravens. How do you feel?
So if I go back to the previous game around like the talent not being big enough for the spread, the Ravens are obviously a playoff caliber, very, very good team. I think they roll over these guys. 7.5. Again, that's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. I I think that the Ravens win by 10-ish. I'm a fanboy, so I take it blindly. I take it emotionally. But like the analytical side, they're gonna put up. They're gonna rush for 250 yards probably.
Oh,
I mean, they're gonna run all over these guys. The Eagles won't have as much time on offense as they would like. I'm comfortable with. I would be really comfortable with 7. I'm still comfortable with 7.5.
I like that. I appreciate that. Anything to disparage Philadelphia, I am all for it. Sia, talk to me a little bit. Do you think 7.5 is too big?
I think it's too big. I love the Ravens too. They're my Super Bowl pick to win it all this year, and even after the a couple mediocre performances, if not bad, against the Chiefs. But 7.5 is a lot if you consider that Philadelphia the last 2. Well, you know what? Philadelphia has another injury on their offensive line. Lane Johnson's out. Darius Slay may be out. If Darius Slay, because he had a concussion, if Darius Slay is out, then I definitely like the Ravens. But if Darius Slay plays, and I'm going to assume he's going to play, I think that hook is just too much. And I agree with Iggy. If it was 7, I'd probably be on the Ravens, but that hook is too much. I'll take the 7.5 because of how well they've played and how bad. Honestly, Baltimore's been pretty bad. Lamar's been pretty bad the last couple of games. Their running game should be amazing, but for whatever reason, it has not clicked yet this season. They barely use J.K. Dobbins. Lamar's missing Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown had a good game last week, but he's missing him a lot more often than he's hitting him. Other than Mark Andrews.
We talked about that.
Yeah. Other than Mark Andrews,
right.
There's not a lot of reliable targets on that team. So again, because it's 7.5, and it's in Philadelphia, which matters just a little bit maybe. I'll go ahead and take that hook and take the 7.5.
Yeah.
I got Ravens all day. Put that one down.
We gotta, what we gotta do? Content alert. The ones that we are like pitted against each other. We got to figure out something like fun and cool, like for the future, like who comes out on top, so to speak, and do something.
Somebody else. So whoever loses buys me a flannel.
Oh,
you need more.
You have no idea how many flannel I already have. You have absolutely zero idea. My mom a couple years ago, for some reason, for Christmas, thought it'd be funny to give me like 18 flannels. So I'm covered.
Perfect.
Always warm.
What a sweetheart.
Comfy. It's nice and comfy. Little lumberjack over here. I think, as we said last week, see, here's the thing, Sia. So 7 was too much for the Steelers, I think. I think we took the Steelers at 7.5 against the Eagles, but 7.5 to the Ravens. I think in Philadelphia, it's difficult. I still think the Ravens win. I think Philly is incompetent in too many places, and I think this might be a nice get-right spot for the Ravens. As we saw, they kind of just put the Washington football team, they kind of just laid them down and just kind of shushed them away. That game was kind of a joke. It didn't really matter. Iggy, I have to ask, though, as a Ravens fanboy, your words, not mine. Lamar's knee, we've been talking about it. He kind of sat out for a game. He had 2 rushing attempts last game. In a game where they were up 27-0, as a team, they had like 20 rushing attempts, and he still threw the ball like 38 times or something ridiculous like that. Is there any part of you that's just a little bit worried?
I'm worried when a defenseman breathes on him too heavy. Absolutely. No doubt. I mean, like, the guy, I think, to see his point, he hasn't been super accurate. He really hasn't. He the first few games, he looked good. And then the last handful of games, it's just been, like I told you last week, like Marquise by like a yard and a half, and he's open. And like I told you, if they're gonna make a run in the playoffs, he has to make those throws. That's just it. Period. Like, they're gonna bottle him up. He's not gonna be able to run. Again, the Chiefs have a roadmap. The Titans have a roadmap. He's gonna see both of those teams again. If he's gonna win those games, he's gonna put them on a dime. And is his lack of running concerning? Not necessarily, because I think that the focus has been, let's keep him in the pocket and have him throw the damn ball. We want to win the game from the pocket. And I think Lamar is conscious of this. Because think about it. If he ran 30 times, what are you going to do? You're going to stack the box and make him throw. The opponent has to at least believe that he can throw the football. And why not do it against these teams that aren't very good? They're going to win the game anyway. If he runs for 300 or he passes for 300. So sit in the pocket and make a throw. I'm not that concerned. If he's going to let it rip, he can let it rip.
That actually makes sense, because if you're setting yourself up for the playoffs, which of course they're going to make, like, you do want defenses to believe you can throw the ball to actually, go ahead and like move to the run when you really need it. So they're not really incentivized, if they think they're going to win anyway, which typically they do, to run the ball right from the jump. I do want to point out, though, just this is just a math problem. RG3's only missed one throw on the year so far.
Jesus, this guy, dude.
And Lamar he's got 130 completions on 178 attempts. So I mean, I'm just saying, one is less than in 48, and that's just math. I mean, that's just basic math. One incompletion versus 48.
That's just basic math at that point.
I think
we know who the quarterback is.
I mean, technically, I haven't missed a pass all year. So
that's true.
That's true.
I should jump in. Technically, I'm the best quarterback of all time. I can jump in right now.
Can we get you on the Win Daily Sports football team? We have a kicker.
Get suited up. Let's do it.
We have a kicker. I know that one. Sia's been banging field goals the last week while he's at work.
Short version, taking the Ravens at 7.5. Still.
Yes. Yep. Still. Yeah. I kind of emphatically, yes. If you were allowed to bet money, you'd put a lot of money on that one.
All of it.
I love it. Oh, well, let's get responsible. Let's be responsible. Moving on, we have the Broncos traveling to New England. This used to be a fun game. Now I think it's just going to suck. It looks like Drew Lock will be healthy. He did start practicing this week. And Cam Newton is back. He is off the COVID list. Just Stephon Gilmore is not yet, so I'm kind of curious about that one. I don't really think it's going to matter that much, but it is -10 to the Patriots.
Wow.
A lot of money's coming in on the Broncos right now. A little bit more of the bets are coming in on the Patriots. About a 50-50 split. Sia, talk to me. 10 points. That's a lot of points.
It is, and I love taking dogs because that's how you win in the NFL. But no, I'm taking the Patriots, and I'm giving the 10. Yeah, not just off a bye. You got Cam back, and you saw what they did with inferior quarterbacks in Brian Hoyer and Stidham to the Chiefs. I mean, if it wasn't for a couple red zone turnovers, that would have been a really close game, at least into the fourth quarter, with your second and third string. So with all the injuries the Broncos have, Melvin Gordon just got the DUI, so it's basically going to be the Philip Lindsay show and some Jerry Jeudy and Hamilton. I think Fant is still out, so I just don't see Drew Lock propelling them enough to cover a 10-point spread. This is one of those like kind of slow grinds that I think ultimately they're covering 14, 17. I think this could get out of hand.
Could get interesting. Iggy, talk to me, man. -10.
This one's tough.
10 is a lot.
Again, 10's a lot of points. I think if Drew Lock had a couple more, if he had played every single game, I would have taken, and all things are equal, into 10-point spread, I take Drew Lock and I take the Broncos. But if it's his first game back and he's 85 or 90%, I mean, the Patriots aren't what the Patriots have been traditionally, but they're still a good football team. They're still coached really well, and Belichick's not going to let that kid do much. And Cam's playing well, dude. Cam's playing well. I like Cam. He's playing well. He's playing a very efficient football. It's not like it was in Carolina. I feel like he was kind of just winging shit in Carolina. Like, he's in the system. He's playing well, running when he needs to. I think Sia's right. It could be like I think in the fourth quarter, it could go from they're up by a touchdown to they're up by, 18, 20 points, and the game ends that way. So I'll take that 10.
Yeah.
And I do want to point something out. So Drew Lock, he came in last season and he played, I believe, the last 6 or 7 games for the Broncos. Now he came in and played 1 or 2 games this season, or maybe it was a game and a half, and got injured. This guy doesn't even have a half of a season in the NFL under his belt, and he has to go to New England and play Bill Belichick. So, I mean, just with that context alone, and knowing what they do to really good and Drew Lock's okay, but he doesn't have experience. So knowing what they do to experienced, really good quarterbacks, Drew Lock is going to come in here and toss it around for like 17, 20 points. I doubt it. I mean, if they put 17 on the board, I wouldn't be shocked. But there's no way they're getting beyond that. And I think they're more likely to get into like the 13, 14 range.
Yeah, I think this is going to be kind of boring, kind of like that Raiders-Patriots game a couple weeks ago where it was a little close, and then the Patriots, I think a fun term is crock-potted them. It's kind of slowly cooked them, simmered them down, and beat them by, I think, like 2.5 touchdowns. So that's a fun one. Here, I have a conspiracy for you guys, so I'm kind of curious what you think. Cam Newton goes down with COVID. They look awful. Then all of a sudden, just a single other player gets COVID on the Patriots. So they have to cancel their game, push it back a week. Hey, Cam Newton's back. Look at that. I don't know. Does that... ruffle any feathers? Is anybody
If
interested?
anyone,
Do you think Bill Belichick wouldn't do something like that to make sure he doesn't lose an extra game? I don't know.
No, I was gonna say if anyone does it, it's Bill.
Exactly. Thank you.
If anyone does it, it's
right?
Bill. I actually hate that you just brought that up because now I'm like, well, maybe.
Yeah, see, it's a pretty easy one to believe. I mean, I don't actually think it's true, but maybe. You never know.
But okay, so assuming he has actual control of like delaying the game and all that, but if he actually did that, it would be so like top level clever that I'd be like, all right, he deserves the built-in buy he got. Like that is like so beyond anybody's imagination.
It's pretty impressive.
Now I kind of hope that he did.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I like low key kind of hope that he did. It's awesome. And got
Seems like everyone's going to be okay. So it's, not that big a deal. You get your quarterback back an extra week. We saw what Hoyer and Stidham did. Obviously, he doesn't want to go through that again. So it's just, that's the NFL, people. That's the NFL. Let's move on to some of these 4:00 games. So we have only 2 4:00 games this week. That sucks. And then we have a Sunday night and then 2 Monday night. So we have a couple games left here. Let's start with the AFC East battle. We have the Jets going to Miami. Game opened at -8.5. It's now up to -9.5 to the Dolphins. The Jets, as Sia and I were on a live stream last night, just released Le'Veon Bell. I think someone was saying he's owed $2 million if he stays on the team any longer. Iggy, let's start with you, man. Who runs the ball? Let's start with that. Who's the Jets running back? Is it really going to be Frank Gore? He's like 1,000 years old.
He is, and he's got to be averaging under 3 yards a carry right now. Or at least close. It's
probably
bad,
under 2,
right?
honestly.
It's bad, dude. They're an absolute dumpster fire in that city, and I think that.
Okay, that's
okay.
Never mind. No, it's true. The city, it's true. It's true. The Giants suck. The Mets suck. The Yankees suck. You're good.
Yeah, the organization is an absolute dumpster fire right now. I think that there is zero motivation for these guys to come out and play. I think they get their asses handed to them. 9 points, still a lot of points, but on the heels of them releasing Le'Veon Bell, it's pretty bad. So yeah, I don't like the Jets to cover, dude. It's bad. It's too much mayhem over there for anyone to play good football.
Yeah, I think we're kind of just it's more of a when Adam Gase gets fired at this point, not an if.
Right.
And I just think there's really no reason to keep him around at this point. Sam Darnold looks terrible.
Horrible.
Sia, do you think the Joe Flacco and the Le'Veon Bell left?
Yeah,
Joe. Yeah, there you go. Your old Ravens buddy. Do you think Joe Flacco? So Sia, or I'm sorry, Iggy. Now that you remember that Joe Flacco is starting for the Jets, do you want to change your pick at all?
I remember how terrible Joe Flacco is. No way, dude, he's terrible.
All right.
Remember him in Denver for like 8 minutes? That was bad.
Yeah, it was very bad. Drew Lock came in and turned out to be significantly
horrendous. Better. What a horrible. Yeah, he's not good.
I love it. Sia, talk to me. 9.5 to the Dolphins. It's a lot of points to the Dolphins.
What's funny about the Flacco comment though is like there's a valid debate you can have as to whether right now Flacco is the better quarterback for the Jets or Sam Darnold. I mean, I think it's Sam Darnold. But I had to say, I think, before I made that statement. So it's just kind of one of those things like, I feel like there's certain quarterbacks that have really regressed, and it's not because necessarily they lack talent. It's because of their coach. Daniel Jones is a really good example. He gets all of a sudden Jason Garrett and Joe Judge, the special teams coach for New England. And the same thing with Sam Darnold. It's not just that he doesn't have the talent. He doesn't have the coach either, because we see quarterbacks succeed with no talent, at least moderately succeed if they have a good sort of game plan, a good coach, and things like that. As far as the spread, listen, I know the Dolphins looked really good against the JV defense of San Francisco, who are missing like 3 out of their 4 defensive linemen and 4 out of 5 of their defensive backs. But 9.5? I mean, the Dolphins are giving 9.5. Given that this is a rival, let's put it this way. And I agree, Iggy, they'll probably, the Jets for the rest of the season will probably be mailing it in. But considering that this is at least a rivalry, if there were a game where the Jets would actually kind of put their best foot forward, it would probably be this game, because it's the best chance they probably have to compete in their division. And the season's still relatively young. So, Give me. I hate to. It's so weird. Give me Flacco. Give me Michael Pirine. Give me Jamison Crowder. Give me Smith. It's going to be. He's the receiver who got 11 targets last week. So I'm going to take the 9.5.
Stobie thinks Adam Gase is the worst head coach in the NFL, and he's still counting Bill O'Brien, who's not even a head coach in the NFL anymore. I honestly have to agree with you, Stobie. I think it is terrible. I don't know. I think the Dolphins should blow out the Jets. I just think it's awesome that we were asking for Tua 2 weeks ago, and now the Dolphins are favored by 9.5 points. If that's not just the world of the NFL, what is? I can't take the Jets. I'm not going to put money on this game because that's insane, but I just can't.
I can't legally.
Yeah, correct. You cannot legally put money on this game. So if you were to, definitely not ask me to do it for you. That, we'll just leave that statement there. But I couldn't.
Yeah, the Jets are horrible.
I couldn't put money on the Jets, especially the way they've looked. This might be, and I'm going to say this every game until it actually happens. This might be Adam Gase's last time coaching, at least hopefully for a very, very long time. Oh, what if the Dolphins land Le'Veon Bell? Thanks, Dobie. That would be fun.
That would make sense, and actually have him active for the game. That would actually be really good TV.
Exactly.
With that said, Myles Gaskin has been pretty good. I mean, Le'Veon's probably better, but Myles Gaskin has been pretty good. He's kind of, I don't want to say he's a fantasy star, but if you have him on your fantasy team, I mean, he's been paying off for you.
Yeah. If they could get rid of Matt Breida, if you could just switch out Le'Veon Bell for Matt Breida, even this version of Le'Veon Bell, he's going to get way more carries. And I think that would be kind of fun.
By the way, the over-under in this game, depending on where you look, is 47 or 47.5. This one screams under to me. So that's just
heavy under.
That out. Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, yeah, let's get it.
Stick to the scripts, yeah.
It's my bad.
Over-unders, man.
All right. Let us rock and roll. We have the Packers traveling to the Tom Brady-led Buccaneers. This is our America's Game of the Week. I'm just kind of assuming it's at 425. Bucks favored by -3.5 3 to open. It is now -1 all the way to the Packers. We've had this line move 4 points. About 70% of the bets, about 75% of the money is on the Packers at this point. I'm assuming at that plus money. Iggy.
This is insane. Who's making this line?
I don't know. -1 to the Packers now. How do you feel about it?
If I could.
Correct. Thank you.
The house on this one, dude. Are you kidding me? Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Absolutely. At a +1?
Well, it's -1 now. It's -1 to the Packers.
It's -1 now.
It opened at +3 to the
But
Packers.
it was +3 to your point.
So
That's
I would have put a lot of money.
I mean, I still think they win by more than 1.5 points. So yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is otherworldly. It's crazy. The guy makes throw. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Aaron Rodgers, and you got Russell Wilson, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, RG3, right?
Sorry, my bad.
That's right.
Whose passer rating is perfect apparently.
It's insane.
But those three guys make throws. You make throws where you're like, that's ridiculous. Aaron Rodgers though has this thing about him where he's running to his left. The guy's open, down the right sideline, and he flicks it across the body and looks the other way. It's absurd. He's so talented. The team, I think, objectively is, from a skill position standpoint, maybe not as talented, but Aaron Rodgers makes that team unbelievable. And the defense is going to play well enough to win the game by at least 1. I take Aaron Rodgers over Tom Brady in this scenario all day.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this game is. Who do you think is going to win, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady? It looks like we're going to have Devontae Adams back as well. I think he is going to be back and active. I think he has practiced this week already, so I think that is going to be huge. So I think that part is pretty important. Sia -1 currently. But yeah, what to Iggy's point, who the hell makes this line +3 for the Packers?
+3 is weird.
Right.
If anything, maybe +2.5 or +1, or just leave it at pick'em. But I hate to tell you guys, you're wrong on this one.
Whoa.
This one, the Buccaneers win this game, especially coming off a loss, especially listen, Green Bay's coming off a bye, but Tampa's got extra rest as well. So they get Chris Godwin back. Mike Evans is probably going to be healthier than he was last game. Leonard Fournette's back for whatever that's worth. Him and Rojo will complement each other. I just think this is a perfect spot for Tampa Bay. By the way, Green Bay has 4 wins. Do you know who they've beaten? Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit, and a New Orleans team that, might be average, but that's about it. So it's not like they're 4-0 and they've beaten some like really, really quality teams. They've beaten maybe one quality team and 3 sort of doormats. So I just think this is a perfect spot when you see the 4-0 and it's Aaron Rodgers and you saw Tampa just lose to Chicago. I actually kind of love this game on the other side. I think Tampa wins this one. I don't think it's going to be a comfortable win, but I think they win this one by 3 or 4 at least.
Wow. I don't know.
Which, for the record, speaks to the original line.
Yeah,
I think they're going to win by 4, and they're going to barely cover the opening spread.
And then here's the thing about lines. They're not made because that's what Vegas thinks is going to happen. They're made to just try and get 50% of the bets on one side and 50% of the bets on the other. So yes, maybe Vegas does think, hey, well, if we have Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, we're probably going to get about half and half in the way they've looked and with all those injuries and yada, yada, yada. It's crazy to see the line move this much, though. Again, you have to pay attention. Where did it open? It opened at -3 for a reason. Now, Sia makes a good point for those reasons. Iggy, I think you make a great point against those reasons as well. So I think it is going to be close. I do think 3 was a little much either direction. But I think it's going to be close. Kind of want to roll with the Packers on this one. Might be eating my words, but me and Iggy, ride or die.
We'll eat them together, man.
Appreciate that, bud. Appreciate that. All right, let's move on. Oh, sweet. We have an NFC West matchup. Holy shit. All right, here's another one. So the line opened -3 to the 49ers over the Rams. It is in Santa Clara.
Ooh.
The line is now -3.5 to the Rams. So this game almost switched an entire touchdown. Wow. That's very alarming. Sia, again, why would the 49ers be -3 when we just saw them get shit pumped by the Dolphins?
Yeah, I don't get it, especially when you consider all the injuries. I mean, maybe they're thinking, well, Jimmy Garoppolo will actually be ready this week, and he wasn't ready last week. Maybe they get 1 or 2 of their defensive backs back. I don't think Sherman's coming back, but they were supposed to get a couple DBs back last week, and I don't think they ended up appearing. So I don't know. Maybe I don't think I have no idea. That's a bad line. And honestly, I kind of like, it looks like depending on where you're shopping, you can get it at -3, the Rams -3. I don't know how San Francisco all of a sudden a week later becomes the San Francisco we all thought they were going to be. Jimmy looked like shaken up even before he got touched. They don't like, they have their skill positions like Debo and Ayuk and Kittle back, but they weren't able to feed them, particularly because of the Miami pass rush. Now consider Aaron Donald coming after them. I just don't see it. I don't see a scenario where they flip the script that quickly and become a good San Francisco 49ers team. So I think you kind of have to take the Rams here.
Yeah, crazy. Iggy, what are the people? What's the scuttlebutt in LA? What are they saying about the Rams this year?
It's LA. Nobody really cares about much. The Lakers won, and again, very light on the riot. It's just embarrassing for us to see. No, I think Sia's right, though. I think that 49ers didn't play very well, and I don't know if there was enough time in between that game and this game when a quality opponent to right the ship, so to speak, or at least correct a lot of those mistakes. And yeah, Jimmy I don't. Again, to his point, he's right. If you got Aaron Donald bearing down on you, that's not a fun experience. I can imagine. The dude literally picks up grown men and throws them around. Like, I can't imagine it's going to be fun. They've got some talented guys that are playing DB. They've got a very solid defense. They put up enough points. I like the Rams here. And yeah, I mean, look, there are 2 teams in Los Angeles. The Rams are generally the more revered ones. So yeah, if anybody in LA cares, then I think it's going to be a Rams team in LA versus the other guys.
The other guys, Chargers, I think is what we were looking for there.
That is
I don't
correct.
know. I mean, we have about 70% of the bets, about 70% of the money on the Rams. Just again, there's a reason the line opened at -3, as we just said with the last game. There's a reason the line opened at -3, but I can't find any of the reasons in my brain why the 49ers were -3 and not the Rams immediately. So yes,
well, here's one reason, but I'm sorry to interrupt. Here's one reason: the Rams have only beaten teams in the NFC East. They have a great record, but they've literally just killed the NFC East. So the thought process, and I don't know what the thought process was, but the thought process might be, well, we don't really know how good the Rams are, and San Francisco's at home, and they'll probably be great coming off a loss. But by the way, that's what we thought San Francisco would do last week coming off the loss to Philadelphia. And so I don't, again, you can't really play the narrative, well, Well, when they come off 2 losses, now they're really going to be pumped up, and because they should have been fighting really hard last week, and it didn't look like they were.
Yeah, not a great look. So we'll see how that one goes. So let us move on to our Monday night games. Got 2 Monday night games, no Tuesday night game this week, which I kind of hope we get those back. That was a lot of fun. The first one, we have the Chiefs coming off a loss, -3.5 to the Bills in Buffalo. This game starts at 5:00 on Monday, which is just really weird just to see that. So I'm excited to watch it, but I don't really get it. Iggy, we'll start with you. The Chiefs, bad loss, it looked like. The Bills really got blown out. This was only yesterday. 3.5 to the Chiefs. I still think this is Chiefs, but I don't know. What are you thinking?
Vegas loves to do this, huh? The halfy point.
Love it.
I hate the halfy point.
That's how they get it.
If it's 3, I'm Chiefs all day. So I think unlike the 49ers, the Chiefs are a very, very talented team. They played badly. I think they come back and they just are just furious at how poorly they played. I think we all, and them included, expected them to definitely win that game and probably go, maybe lose 2 games all season. Maybe that's not one of them. I think they come back. I think they got a fire lit under them. I think they play very, very well. When they're playing well, and I think they will, they have so many weapons. It's so hard to stop. The Bills defense is good, not elite, right? We talked about, look what they did to the Ravens. Look what they do to most defenses. The Bills, I don't think, have the firepower to be able to put up 35, 40 points against that team. I like the Chiefs. I don't 3.5 again, the happy point. At 3.5, it's a little tighter than I'd like it to be, but if I could, I take Chiefs. I think they're going to come back. They're going to play pissed off, and they're going to put up 40 points.
Yeah, I think they're on a mission. But again, the Bills 4-0 only as of yesterday, and they just got housed. It was an absolute bloodbath, and it was just a bad game too. It's not like Derrick Henry ran for 150 yards. It was mostly Ryan Tannehill and a couple awful turnovers that didn't really help. Sia 3.5 to the Chiefs. Oh, I'm sorry, Iggy. Do you have one more?
No, I was going to say, when you look at the offensive matchups against that defense, they're so fast. There's too much speed. It's too hard to handle. Again, I think they come up pissed and put up 40 to cover.
Yeah, and I think the Bills have some injuries on that defense too, if I'm not mistaken. So that doesn't really help. Sia, what are you thinking? -3.5 to the Chiefs.
Yeah, namely, by the way, Tre'Davious White, and I think he'll probably come back for this Chiefs game. But I absolutely love the Chiefs. I love this game. It's probably not my favorite bet. I think we talked about my favorite bet earlier. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but this has got to be at least my second favorite bet. Oh, my favorite bet, of course, is a Washington football team +3 against the Giants. Yes. Sorry, Michael. But
Trevor Lawrence, maybe Trevor Lawrence.
Both teams, yeah, exactly. Both teams coming off a loss, so you don't have that real narrative there. Derek Carr, what he did against the Chiefs, what he hit the long ball. He really was so precise to Nelson Aguilar, to Ruggs, and the intermediate routes to Waller. And I just don't think, I'm kind of a Josh Allen hater, and I think people think, well, Josh Allen proved you wrong because of that 4-game sample size. Well, okay, the 5th game came along and he didn't look that good. And so I can't rest my laurels on the 5th game. I'm not saying that because that's also a small sample size for this season. But what I am saying is that they're going to be playing from behind against the Chiefs, in my opinion. So you're going to have Josh Allen really trying to force the issue. And we have a large sample size of Josh Allen trying to force the issue. And almost every single time he tries to do that, it ends up being ridiculously bad, like a really dumb play, really dumb throw, really dumb lateral, really dumb fumble, whatever it is. And so I just think this is such a bad matchup for them, especially when you consider that the Bills defense isn't very good. Like statistically, if you look at it, it's not very good, and the Chiefs should roll. And I just don't think the Bills can match it. So I think I think this is a double-digit game. I think this is a 10-point win.
Oh wow! Thankfully, the line's at 3.5 then. So hopefully you can put a couple dollars, I think, on those games. I don't know. Florida? Can you guys bet in Florida? I think you can.
That's a no. Okay, not sports betting. No.
So I'm the only one, gentlemen. You guys are making fun of my flannel, but I'm the only one doing this shit legally. Would you look at that? I love it. Let's move on. Last game of the night. This is our second Monday night game. Another big line change. Cowboys open -3 to the Cardinals. It is now -1.5 or -2 to the Cardinals, depending on where you're looking. Even with that, we have a couple more bets coming in on the Cardinals, but we have about 69% of the money coming in on the Cowboys.
You're a child.
I am. Absolutely.
He literally is, though. He's 15 years old.
I mean, like, I am.
You didn't know that?
Remember Blade? We were just talking about that before. Like, come on.
Talking about your mom's presence and your flannels.
I mean, I don't know why you're being like this, Iggy. I invite you on the show, and now you're just being mean. Like, I don't know why you have to do this to me. I can mute you now. I could kick you out if I wanted.
Yeah, but then it's not nearly as fun.
It's true.
-1.5 to the Cardinals, -2, depending on where you're looking at it. No Dak, obviously. We all saw that injury. That kind of sucked. But is Andy Dalton that much worse than Dak? Especially with all these weapons? I don't know.
No, he's not that much worse. I'm assuming if Dak was in this game, the line would be, Cowboys minus. So it moved to from -3 to +2.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that has to be mostly the Dak effect, because, by the way, Arizona has a big injury too. It's Chandler Jones, so that pass rush isn't going to be nearly as good, which should make the backup quarterback Andy Dalton a little bit more comfortable. I don't really know what to do with this game. I kind of like Arizona because I just don't see how that defense is going to be able to stop Kyler Murray. But at the same time, I don't see how the Cowboys offense isn't going to just run all over Arizona. I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. I'm going to go ahead and take the +2. I think it's going to be a relatively close game. I can't believe the over-under is only 52. I mean, I'm all over the over there. Wow. But I think this one comes down to the last possession, and I'm just going to take the faith that Dalton and Zeke and that trio of receivers ends up, getting the last score.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the last score. I think that's a good point. Iggy, Cowboys, America's team.
I mean, look, I spent a lot of years looking at Andy Dalton throw the ball. He's not great, but he was a starting quarterback for 8 years? Maybe it's a little much, but he's been a starting quarterback for a very, very long time. He's not a great quarterback, but given the weapons that he has on the outside, given the weapons he has in the backfield, given that offensive line, I think that they put up enough points to be really competitive. The swing to 2.5, it's a hefty swing, right? This one's tough. I don't know how many reps he's had with the first team. I don't know how comfortable he is with weapons outside. I don't know what the timing is like. I think he's a professional enough of a quarterback to make it very competitive. I think that they rally around. I think that they have this sort of win one for fucking Dak situation, and I think they play well enough to win that game. I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Yeehaw. Let's win one for Dak. Yeah, I think so too, honestly. I think the Cowboys take this one out. I think the Cardinals, we thought they were good, and they beat the 49ers, but then we kind of saw them look like crap the rest of the season, and it turns out the 49ers aren't nearly as good. They still had a couple of their defensive linemen back then, but yeah, they're just not as good, unfortunately. So it's a little disappointing, but that's our second Monday night game. And we have a comment here. It says bell to the Chiefs. I didn't get a notification, so maybe they're just speculating. But
no way.
No, that's not news. He's just saying I'd like Bell to go to the Chiefs.
Cool. I was like, that's not fair.
I would like to see that, honestly.
I wouldn't.
That'd be fun. Why not?
No, it would not. Yeah, as a Ravens fan, it would be horrible.
Yeah. Well, if you guys can beat the Titans, then I guess you're allowed to beat the Chiefs. How's that sound?
I don't want to play. Can neither of them just play anymore?
Nope. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't think so. But that is our betting line show. We went over all the games against the spread. We got a bunch of head-to-heads. So Sia and Iggy are going to be going up against each other all week, which is going to be a blast. No Thursday night game, unfortunately, but we have a bunch of Sunday games. We have 2 Monday night games. It was an absolute blast. Iggy, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Where can everybody find you on the internet?
Well, how come you don't do the little thing with me where my name is? It's at Iggy_Rodriguez. 2 more
characters. Yeah. Come on, Michael.
You actually typed that in. So
shit.
I couldn't do anything about it. Yeah. That is something that I was incapable of doing. So I'm sorry, buddy. My bad.
Well,
next time
Iggy_Rodriguez.
Yeah. Next time I will remind you to do the thing that you want me to do for you. I appreciate that. Sia, where can everybody find you on the internet?
You can find me at Sia Nejad, SIANEJAD. But Iggy, do you have literally 2 minutes? I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah, the Bachelorette stuff. Yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry.
You know what? I actually missed my workout because of this now. So let's do it. I'm available. I know.
Okay, so you're good. Okay, cool.
So this is contributing to him getting less handsome, which is a bonus for me. So this works out. Well, maybe we'll have you on tomorrow night too. But Iggy, so I have a couple questions. Before I get to the Bachelorette question, and maybe you've already discussed this with Michael, so I apologize, but there's people watching, so I'm curious among other people. First of all, what are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm the head of global partnerships at Therabody. So if you know that like percussive, look at this, look at my shameless plug for the company.
I love it.
This thing, right?
Tell me what
There
that
you
is.
go.
It's
That
like one of
thing.
those like muscle.
So it's a massage gun. So you see the massage gun? They're on the sidelines of every single NFL game,
Oh
NBA
yeah,
game, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So I'm responsible for all of our global partnerships. So everything from creating marketing collaborations with name your massive brand like Gatorade to creating recovery content for things like Peloton. It's working with every cool major gym, every athlete pretty much in the entire world, along with every major league team in the entire world. So it's a pretty fun gig.
that's awesome. So let me ask you this: like, obviously, you got this position on your own laurels, I'm assuming, but did like fame from The Bachelorette contribute in any way to like kind of being where you are now, at least professionally?
I used to work in sports entertainment. So I used to work with the Dodgers in Los Angeles, working partnerships. I ran the department for the Pistons for a little while and ended up getting my EMBA in Chicago. So I've always kind of been in this like sports entertainment world. And I've always kind of wanted to be on camera selfishly, if I'm being honest. And I said, I was part of an acquisition in Chicago and didn't necessarily need to have a paycheck the next day. Got contacted by a recruiter on LinkedIn of all things. And they're like, hey, have you ever been interested in doing TV or ever wanted to be on a dating show? And I'm like, you know what? I literally just gotten broken up with like a month earlier. And my ex-girlfriend, her favorite show of all time, The
Oh my
Bachelorette.
God.
And we're talking like the girls are over every Monday. They're like, they're making bets. They got brackets. I mean, it is her like favorite thing to watch ever.
Dude.
And I said, if you're going to break up with me, then what better way to get back at this girl than to have her watch me and her bet on me on her favorite show every Monday for as many weeks as I can swing it.
Okay, so first of all,
this is cold, dude. Jesus.
Best story I've ever heard in my entire life. Second of all, I have a follow-up question to that. So when did she find out you were going on the show? You must have told her before she saw you on TV.
I did. Yeah, I told her maybe about a week before I went to go actually film.
And I'm just curious, like her initial reaction, was it like, oh, I want you back? Was she just jealous that you were getting
a little bit?
Like,
it was a little bit like there was self-preservation. It was a little bit like, oh, but what if we might maybe talk and work out again? And yeah, I was pretty much set on going at that point. So there was no reconciliation happening.
Amazing. And if I may, so how old were you when you got that call from LinkedIn or that message from LinkedIn?
29.
Okay. And how old are you now?
33. It's been a minute.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so
the season aired 3 years ago.
Oh, super recent. Okay. And
in Bachelor World, that's not recent. That's a million years ago in Bachelor World.
That's fair enough, I suppose. So, and now I know Michael had mentioned Bachelor in Paradise. Were you on that as well?
I was. They asked me back for some reason.
And are there like gigs ongoing that like you could see yourself going to, or other shows, or just like actual like, sort of like events that you attend like on behalf of like that Bachelorette franchise?
Immediately afterwards, yes. The moment the new guys, the new crop of guys pop up and there's, new guys on your screen, and the new Bachelorette cast, you're pretty much forgotten in that capacity. If you want to stay relevant in the space, it's kind of sad, if I'm being honest. Like, you got to do show after show after show, and it's just not a lifestyle that I wanted to maintain. It's fun, don't get me wrong. The DMs I've gotten have been hilarious and awesome as a single guy. And so awesome. there are perks to the gig, but you kind of sell your soul a little bit, if I'm being honest, to be like a reality star, to have to do that every few months to maintain that popularity, because it is so fleeting. It wasn't for me. I mean, I've got like an advanced degree for a reason. I didn't necessarily want to do that forever, but dude, it was so fucking fun. I would, if I had to do it all over again, I totally would. It's such a cool experience. And I don't know if it's necessarily like put me in a position to be successful in my career, but there is something to be said about someone going, wait a minute, aren't you Iggy from the show, in a meeting, and just have it be like, you've got this like this sort of like elevated, notion about yourself from other people every now and then. And it does kind of help like ease the tension or break the ice a little bit. So I'll take it. I had a great time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a built-in conversation piece, and it's also an amazing way for people to remember you and distinguish you among so many other people that they might meet in a day, a week, a month.
The only downside to that is you have to, I think there's such a stigma about the Bachelor community that it's almost a detriment sometimes. It's like, you were on the show, so you must be like a dumb guy, right? Like you must be kind of like a dumb, handsome guy. And I'll take the second part.
I was
the
gonna
first
say they
part,
got the
you
handsome
gotta
part
kind of,
right.
you know, you got to work against that a little bit.
That's interesting because I think you're right. I never thought of this, but just the idea that you had your MBA before you even went on this show, I think is probably not something people would assume. That, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I have just a couple more questions. So when you got on the show, like when you actually arrived on the show and you go through like a day or two of production, I don't want you to sell out the show at all, but is there something like my wife watches, you know, The Bachelorette and The Bachelor, like, is there something that would be like fun for her to know that like sort of happens on the show that like isn't, you know, sensitive, you know, information, but that, you know, you could sort of tell the fans or the audience?
Yeah. So the first week's really tough. They tell you that you're going to be on the show for a minimum of 4 days, a maximum of 9 weeks. The first 4 days, you're locked in a hotel room and you cannot leave. There is no TV, there is no radio, there is nothing to communicate to the outside world. They take your phone, which is the experience the entire time. So you have no TV, no radio, no internet, no computer, no phone, no nothing. You're locked in a room for 3 days because they're talking about the show on TV. So if you watch something on TV and you haven't seen any other competitors yet, you know, you don't really know what the environment's like. You don't know what the narrative for the show is like. So you're basically locked in a room for 3 days. You get 30 minutes to go work out every day. And that's how you are outside in the world. You go absolutely stir crazy. Imagine being in a box for 3 straight days with this built up anticipation every single day about something happening. The first time that you see anyone else, you're in your suits and you're walking into the limo and you're being limoed up to the house, and it starts immediately.
Whoa.
And that walk, that when you open the door from that limo, that walk to go see the girl, it's like 90 feet, right? Maybe 90 feet. It feels like a mile and a half. I blacked out. No one remembers what they said. Everyone just completely blacks out during that moment. All of a sudden, you're in the house and there's a drink in your hand and you're drunk and you're in it. It happens immediately. It's weird.
Wow.
That's super interesting. So you know, I was having a conversation with actually, do you know who Chris Cody is, Iggy, from the Dan Le Batard show? So anyway, he's one of the guys on the show. We were literally having this conversation today, and I want to ask you, and I'll end my questioning on this, and I don't know if Michael, you have any follow up, but so, you know, we were talking about how people kind of like think they're in love when they're on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, like immediately. And to people, onlookers, to people watching TV, you know, most like rational people are thinking, well, how could you possibly be in love? It's been like 3 days or 2 weeks or, you know, a month. Like most people just can't really process that idea. But, you know, now that you say how isolated you are and how you have no outside media, no outside anything, I mean, your entire world is, in your case, is this like this one girl that is, you know, trying to find her man. And I'm wondering, does that lend itself to like not even understanding that there's an outside world anymore? And you're just so kind of like boxed in and your reality is so, you know, narrow that it lends itself to like really like falling for a person.
Yes is the answer. And I usually explain it like this. Number one, the show it isn't necessarily based in logic, right? The whole show is intended to create scenarios where your emotions get the better of you. And I always communicate it like this. Like, so Sia, what's the first date you went on? What'd you do? Where'd you go? I'm asking you.
The last first date, I went to a bar to watch football with my now wife. Brunch,
amazing.
Actually. Drinks were involved.
Imagine if your first date was someone putting you on a private jet to Napa, where they had the creators of Camus come down and give you a horseback ride through the vineyard, talked about the wine. You went back, had a sunset picnic on this beautiful ridge overlooking this winery, drinking wine with this person, engaging so intimately for the first time. Can you imagine even having that experience? There's no fucking way you don't feel something when that happens. The environment is so, I don't care if it was me and fucking Michael. I'd be like, dude, the flannel's not bad. You know?
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
It's just, they curate the environment so well for you to feel something. And quite candidly, you know, every guy that goes on there, we're all kind of this, like, we're athletic, kind of, we're competitive, like, and nobody wants to get kicked off. You want to win. Yeah, or you at least, you don't want to win. But you don't want to lose.
Yeah.
You don't want to go home. You know, like we're competing now, and so you kind of will yourself to feel the stuff, and they put you in an environment where it makes it really easy to feel stuff. And by the way, you're hammered drunk from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. It's a producer's job, man.
That with that context, it all like kind of falls into place. It actually makes quite a lot of sense. Interesting.
It's amazing. I think I look good in this flannel, by the way.
I think you look great, pal.
Thanks, buddy. Maybe
I abstain from voting.
We should go to Napa. Sia will get us a private jet. It'll be great. Iggy, thank you so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. Sorry you missed your workout, but hopefully this was fun. Hopefully, we expect to have you back again soon. It was an absolute blast. We appreciate you again. One more time, I'll take the blame for it, but it's at Iggy_Rodriguez for the social medias. Obviously, you can find Sia Nejad as well at Sia Nejad. You can find me at Michael Brazil1. Make sure to follow us at Win Daily Sports. For Iggy, for Sia, for the Win Daily Sports family, for myself, we hope you make it a very profitable week 6 of the NFL.